Hey, babe. Hello, all, and welcome to the Affluent Marriage Podcast. You're listening to one financial coach and one educator talk about living a rich and full marriage through generational wealth building principles, authentic two-way communication strategies, and everything in between to become a couple that lives in love and walks in wealth. Your legacy begins here.
Haha, that's nice. You're getting really good at that.
You know, it's only episode 2, but
Yeah.
I feel like I've really gotten that memorized pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably by episode 3, I won't even have to look at the notes or anything. It'll be right there. I'm feeling good. How are you doing today, babe?
You know what? It's good. I feel like really good. Last episode 1 was so good. And I feel like there was a lot of stuff that was brought up, and I can't wait to hear what everyone's thinking about it. At this point, we've only had like the trailer and stuff out, but we've already gotten really good feedback from it. So I'm excited for when this episode finally airs.
Right, because by the time this airs,
we're going to have a good
already seen the
batch out
trailer
for
and
you.
the teaser and all that. So yeah, it's exciting that these things are happening right now.
Yep.
So, you know, me personally, I had a great weekend. You know, we had family movie night on Friday. We watched The Cinderella. Now, I feel like this is a very conversational podcast, but this is not up for debate. Can you tell everyone what The Cinderella is?
Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, but the Whitney Houston and Brandy version.
Yes.
The ABC on TV Disney original version.
There's no other option.
It's not
debatable.
Like, when I think about the beauty of that movie, I remember when it came out. Do you remember when it came out on TV?
No, because I think you introduced me to it about 2 months ago.
Okay, no, it was like years and years ago, because Disney Plus came out, and I was like, oh my god, it's there, and I think I had it on DVD or like bought it or something like that. But anyway, it is like the best like representation. I loved the multicultural families and blended. Like everybody was just absolutely beautiful in that movie, and I remember as like, I don't even know how old I was, probably like 13 or something, watching that movie and going, oh my gosh, like this is such a beautiful representation of the world. I love this movie so much.
Can I tell you a secret that I've never told you?
Oh no.
So this is like
I love this.
Breaking news.
Oh jeez.
I remember that you told me that this was a movie that you would watch with your father and you guys would like dance and sing and he knew the lyrics and such.
My dad. Yes, he did.
Okay.
He did.
Well, I hope so, because when you first introduced me to this film, can I tell you that like I looked up the lyrics to the songs and like I took time to like play them over and over and I memorized them so that if we watched it together and you were ever like with me, like I don't know, like I would sing it to you.
Stop it. You really did?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
I am terrible at lyrics. So the fact that I could like, when it comes to 10 minutes ago, I saw you, you know what I mean? Like I memorized that for you.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I love that movie. And I love the songs.
I know that you love it, so I did that for you.
That was so sweet, baby.
Wow.
I feel like we're just learning, like, again, this is like an archive for me, right?
Yeah, or like a dedication to you, right?
I know. Stop it, dude. You're gonna make me look like such a like jerk. I'm like, oh, I didn't do that for you. I learned about basketball.
Did you?
I know what a layup is.
There you go. So that was Friday. Saturday, we celebrated your nephew's 21st without alcohol.
Woot woot.
We went bowling.
We went bowling.
It was a good time.
It was.
We tried to wrangle our kids the whole time.
It was not
a ton
fun.
of fun.
Actually, it was not fun for the kids. The kids make that was not. I feel like so. Daniel and I used to be on bowling leagues.
Fun fact: 200 average right here. I'm legit.
I think my highest was probably like almost.
You broke a 200.
I broke a 200.
It was
a
on the
couple
fridge.
times. Yes, it was. It was actually a 2. No, it was a 200. I think it was 280.
280.
200, 220. 220.
It was around 220.
Okay. Anyway, so when I was in high school, I did a bowling league. It was fun times. I did it with my mom. It was a cute thing. And then he did it also, like it was our church, with all the men. And then you still do it now with your colleagues, or, you know, we're doing it with your colleagues or whatever. So we have our own bowling balls and bowling shoes. Yes, it is nerdy, but we know how to throw down when it comes to going to the lanes, right? But it's been a minute. So when the kids were there, I was like really trying to like get into my zone and like whatever. And my parents with their ball and their shoes. My nephew has ball. Like it's a family thing. My kids were not letting me shine.
No, they were not.
They were intense.
You know what's exciting is I just realized your father is a preacher, and oftentimes he uses you in his sermons, correct?
Yes, all the time.
I feel like you get to bash your dad right now. Can you tell the world what he used to say to you as a child?
I don't even know what
at the bowling alley.
Should I look here or B-roll? I don't know. But like
one eye on each.
Okay, one eye on each. So my dad always talks about me on the pulpit, and I never get a chance to get my say. This is my platform to do it. Okay. My dad would take me to the bowling alley when I was younger. This was before I was on leagues and stuff. And I would be so excited, and he'd be practicing, and I'd be wanting to bowl. And I would get gutter balls all the time. Like, just horrible. And he would be like, Kim, don't be a waste of money. Like, if you're not going to hit a pin, we're going home. I'm not putting up bumpers for you. I need you to focus. I need you to get a pin down. I will never forget that. So yesterday I was messing with him because I was just like, oh, look, Dad, I got more pins down this time. I'm not a waste of money.
What a foundational moment in your life that just made you the business savvy entrepreneur that you are today.
It was the thing that made me.
All right.
I love you, Dad.
So it is pod 2 of our 6 podcast series, whatever you want to call it, on the book We Should All Be Millionaires. Last pod, we debunked a myth that has been plaguing women since like
forever,
the beginning of time.
Yeah.
But we also questioned what you're doing to develop your wealth knowledge. Correct. And we talked about what your greatest asset is in building wealth. So if you missed that episode, I implore you go back and watch episode 1 to find out what all that is. It is an invaluable listen. So don't be uninformed. Just do it. Make your dreams come true.
Just do it.
That's right.
Shia LaBeouf.
That's right. So are you guys ready for takeaway 2?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Takeaway 2 from We Should All Be Millionaires is Rachel says, building wealth is about creating multiple streams of income, including passive income from investments and assets.
Oh, this is going to be a hot one. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot that we could dive into here, and I could go from a lot of different angles, and I think I know where I'm going to start. But I just let me start with this. Do you agree that wealth building is about creating multiple streams of income?
100%.
All right, podcast is over. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. We agree with Rachel.
Yes.
No, I want to go from here. You are KG Millionaire Coach, right?
Yes.
And something that you talk about a lot is the Millionaire Flex.
Oh, yes. I love Millionaire Flexes.
So can you elaborate for the people listening? What do you mean when you tell people they have like a flex, or like what's your Millionaire Flex?
So this is good, even in marriages or whatever, like, because I know we're talking about like communication with your spouse when it comes to finances, but also in your own, like, so I'm speaking to the female entrepreneur that might be listening to this, right? When we're talking about Millionaire Flexes, these are the little things that we're doing that might seem a little bit like wonky right now, but we know that they're going to have huge dividends in the future. So giving you an example is going on a cash budget for your groceries, right? So saying that every single 2 weeks, we're going to take out $400. I'm using ours as an example because it just is something that's so concrete. $400 every single month. That's what you use to go out to eat. That's what you use to get groceries. That's what you use for any of those other stuff, right? So when you give yourself that allowance and say, this is all we're doing for this, and anything that normally would have gone towards food and stuff is going to go towards my investments or go towards my savings or any of those big, huge goals, getting out of debt. That to other people might seem restrictive. Like, oh man, like I have to only do 400 and then I feel so restrictive because now I'm not going to be able to spend everything I want. But the millionaire in you, the Millionaire Flex, is that I am going to give myself this amount of money. I know that I have enough to take care of the needs that I'm going after. And I'm going ahead and putting money towards my future, savings, investments, whatever it is. And I know that the me that I am, however many years from now, is going to be so thankful for what today self did. So I call that the Millionaire Flex. And I tell people to find those minuscule decisions that you're making that might seem restrictive. They're not. They're creating abundance for you in the future. Instead, reframe your perspective to saying, this is my Millionaire Flex.
Right. What you say, or what they might see as restrictive, you could argue is freedom generating.
Yes. That's even better way, right? So better than this idea of abundance, because I could go down a big, huge role about abundance, because everyone loves to talk about abundance as if it's just like, you being Scrooge McDuck and going down like this huge roll of like, gold coins. But that's not abundance.
That would hurt.
That would hurt, wouldn't it? They make it look so fun in the cartoon, though. That it's just, such a fun thing. But actually what abundance is taking stock of what's around you and doing as much as you possibly can with what's around you and being thankful for that, so that when more comes in, you're able to be a good steward of that. That's where abundance lies. So that's the short version of it.
Right. When I think about the Millionaire Flex, I think about the things that your own little flex. I feel like sometimes it can be individual to you. The things that you can do that maybe other people can't do because they don't have that same advantage.
Legit.
So for us, well, I'm going to just name some Millionaire Flexes, some flexes you might have. And then maybe we'll talk a little bit about some of the flexes that we've had throughout the years.
Yeah.
So, for you, maybe your flex, your little advantage that you have to build wealth is maybe you don't have children yet, or you don't have children at all, right? That is a flex.
That is a flex.
We have children, and the amount of money that we spend on children versus when we didn't have children
is exponentially more.
It's stark. It's a stark difference. So if you don't have children, you have a huge opportunity, a huge advantage to build wealth.
Right? You have time. You have time on your side when you don't have kids. And I'm thankful that we took our time. I know you're going to talk about that later, but we took our time, like, very wisely.
Right. So we won't dive too deep on these. I'm just going to kind of name some of the ones that I've listed. I won't talk. This podcast, this specific episode, like, it has a chance to really just go off.
Part 1, part 2, part 5.
I mean, when you talk about building wealth, like, you really start to get us excited things you can do, because there's no one way to do it, but there's so many ways to do it.
There's so many.
I'm excited. All right.
Okay.
So another.
I'm reading your notes.
So maybe another. Hey, listen. Kim has no notes.
I have no notes.
But I have pages.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a dual income, right? Maybe you're not single. And let me say that. I know I said let's not go off on this, but this podcast, The Affluent Marriage, yes, we are speaking to power couples. We're speaking to those couples who are crazy like us and are trying to build crazy wealth. But if you're single, or, whatever your status is, can you get wisdom from this show?
Yeah, 100%. Get yourself together before you find your spouse, right? Find a spouse who is doing these things. It's like a blueprint for you. You're welcome.
So if you have a dual income, that is a millionaire flex. Not
100%.
Everybody has that. And you can use that to your advantage. You can live off one income if you can, and save the other. Maybe you don't have a ceiling on your income.
Yes.
Right? Do I have a ceiling on my income? Yes, I'm an educator. Do you have a ceiling on your income?
No. I'm an entrepreneur. Sometimes
I love it because I say these and I can tell you just like you want to just start talking.
I do. I'm restraining myself so badly.
This is really your freedom generating, your responses for later.
Yep.
Maybe you have roommates. Maybe you live at home, right? That is a flex. Some of you might think, oh, I live at home with my mom and dad, or oh, I have roommates. I really wish I lived by myself because they're the worst. You have to notice and realize and be conscious and aware of what your advantage is in that moment, right? Your rent is significantly less, or not at all if you live at home, maybe, unless your parents charge you. Some people, teach their own, but that's your advantage.
Right.
So all that to say, whether you know it or not, you have a flex. The most important thing is figuring out what your flex is and flexing it. Did you read that?
Flexing it? I did.
Did you read that? I saw you like flex with me and I was like, whoa, she's reading my notes.
Are you flexing it?
Are you flexing your millionaire flex muscles?
Yeah. And that takes some perspective, mindset shifting,
right?
For you to be like, you know what? Like, this is actually something that I can actually use to my advantage. I have unlimited amount of time right now because I don't have kids. Dude, I'm so envious. Like, we're sitting here at, is it 9:30 at night?
This is when we have time to film.
This is our flex.
Right. So what I want to go into now is to kind of just take people quickly, or not quickly, down our road of our flexes over time and maybe how they've changed over time. But starting from, the start of our marriage, what were some of the flexes that you can remember that we had, that you can name some, I can name some, and how we use those to our advantage? Okay.
So the first flex is that, like, when we first, I guess, got on our understanding of like money, is that we had infinite time. So it was just him and I. And we didn't have anything holding us back. So when it came time to find extra jobs to bring in extra income to pay off the debt, the $76,000, just in case you didn't listen to the other 2 episodes, or I guess whatever, $76,000 is what we had to pay off.
And what was that in?
Student loans.
And whose were they?
Yours.
Yes.
You were about to point at me. That was not my debt.
They were ours, because once you become
You know
married,
what, though? I really did take it on as my own. Like, I was like, okay, you are my partner, and I'm going to do this with you. Like, I'm going to run the race with you. So, I mean, anyway, so it was my dad, too. I guess I could say that. But anyway, we had so many jobs. And there were times where we were ships passing in the night where I was like, what's up, babe? What's up, babe? But we knew what we were hustling for. We knew what we were working for. So it wasn't like, you're always gone and you're never with me. It was just, no, but we are going for a goal here. You're with me. Let's go do it. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was a flex at that time.
Absolutely. And you mentioned jobs, like just the things that we were doing. We were both private school teachers.
Yeah.
You know, full transparency, I was making $28K. She was making $28K a year. So combined $56,000. And that was a year. How did we do that? I don't know. It was 2011. So inflation's not what it was today, but I mean, it was only 10 years ago.
But even our apartment, like, this is going down a whole nother like rabbit hole. Like, our parents co-signed for us because we didn't have any credit. Like,
I didn't have a job at that point.
You didn't have a job. I didn't have credit.
Like, ma'am, you can't afford this.
And so our parents co-signed for us, which is like, I mean, in a lot of, you have to know your kid if you're going to do that. Yeah. Thank you, moms. Because his mom and my mom co-signed for us. We weren't married yet. So it was like I don't know. I feel like that rent was not cheap at all, but I was like so in love with the place, and it was in a safer neighborhood that we just went for it. But regardless, like, we were living, in fact, here was another flex. Okay. So, cause I know you probably have some on your end. We moved to a smaller space. So after that's actually the biggest place we've ever lived in, including what we have right now. The place that we lived in was higher in rent. I said I had to have it. When we actually recognized our money and where it needed to be, we were like, you know what, if we move to someplace smaller, we can save even more money and get out of this debt even faster. So we moved to a tiny 500 something square foot apartment. It was 1 bed, 1 bath. It was tiny, but we loved that place.
I loved that place.
Loved it.
So one of the flexes that we had was we didn't have children yet, so we could do that, right? We could recognize where we were living, and we're like, you know what? We could downsize, and we also worked a ton of jobs.
We did.
So some of the jobs that I know I worked, so I was an educator. That was my main gig. Some of my side hustles, I did catering on the side, and help me out if I forget one. I did Pizza Hut one summer. I delivered pizzas. I helped out at my local church, and I cleaned out vans and cleaned areas. I did renovations for the church. We worked at a summer camp, and we were camp counselors. We did tutoring. I remember we would get off work and we would drive across town and tutor different students different days.
Yep. Dog sitting. We did a lot of dog sitting.
Kid sitting.
Sometimes, yes, kid sitting. I was house sitting at one point to watch different people when they were going on vacations. We did, random things here and there. So a lot of times, like, we were very active in our church. So if they ever needed something for a one-off thing, hey, can you watch kids for this, hour? Can you watch the security cameras while this wedding is going on? Yup. I would do anything that was additional, that was just giving us an additional amount of cash. Didn't care if it was $50 or $100 or more than that. I would do it.
It didn't matter what the job was. You just reminded me. You know what else that I did?
What?
Clowning.
You sure did.
I would put on that makeup.
You sure did.
I would tie up some balloon animals. I would act silly and run games.
That's
for like
a flex,
family
right?
reunions.
Because that is something that is a skill that you've learned. Yeah. Like, tying balloons is not something.
Man, I don't know if that was a compliment. Like, hey, babe, I'm a 6-figure business owner, and you know how to tie balloons. You are just such a phenomenal. I married up, babe. I married a balloon tire.
I didn't mean it like that.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like you used a skill that you did in high school.
No, I did.
And you made it something that was cash flowing. That's a flex.
That was my flex.
That's a flex. So needless to say, there was no stone unturned. If there was an opportunity for me to make money somewhere, for us to make money somewhere, we would do it. There was nothing that we were there was nothing too low
never
for
too
us.
Proud.
Never too proud. Even still, like, if I needed an extra $100, I'm not too proud to be like, okay, I'll go pull a shift here or there or whatever. You need me to babysit or whatever, I'll do it. Like, I'm not too proud for that. I'm not too proud to beg.
So we reduced the size of our space. We worked a ton of jobs. So when we decided that we wanted to buy our own place, what did we do?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So we, and this is something I would not recommend if you don't have a good relationship with your parents, first of all. So my dad and my mom are both very, they don't want us coming back to the house. I'll put it that way. My dad especially is like, you guys are independent. You guys are married. Get out of my house, right? In the most loving way possible. But we knew that we really wanted to, if we stayed in my parents' house for a year. In fact, it was Brett and Aaron Alt who actually put us onto this idea because they did it.
Man, you gave them a little shout out.
I did.
I
did. I'm going to let them know they're in here. But they did it for their house that they bought or whatever. And I was like, ooh, if we did that for a year and we stayed at my family's house, what could we do? This is the best time to do it. We don't have kids. I don't think we were in grad school yet. We just had a puppy. That was it. We just got out of debt. So we had proven that we were responsible with our money. We had proven that we were serious about what our goals were. I signed a contract that we would be out in a year. That was my contract with my dad. I will be out in a year. And we moved into the upstairs level, and we stayed there for a year. And
10 months.
It was. We tried to get out as fast as we could, but we worked. We still did the same amount of jobs, even though we were out of debt. And our whole focus was saving for a down payment and putting money into our emergency fund. That's it.
And I remember your father is he has a master's degree in business. So we made sure that when we came to have this discussion, we had entire portfolio put together about here's the data, here's what we're trying to accomplish. If we save X amount of dollars over 10 months and
we had a
this
plan.
Is where we'll be. We had a plan, and he saw that, and I think he respected that we had a plan. And it wasn't just like, hey, father-in-law, can I just stick around in your place for a little bit? He needed to know, you have a move-out date. Mm-hmm. That was very important. This contract, it would become void. Your lease ended at a certain point.
Yeah. And I respected that because I didn't want to be there. I love my parents, but I don't want to be there. There's
a freedom in being able to walk around in your own underwear in your house.
Sure.
Sure. I think there's freedom in that.
There is freedom in that. But anyway, so those are some flexes. Did you have any more?
There's so many more. But let's get into Rachel, right? Let's talk about what Rachel would do to build wealth. So I'm going to talk a little bit about who she is and some of the things that she's doing and how she's generating wealth. Mm-hmm. And then after we talk about each one, we can kind of talk about our thoughts about that. All right?
Yeah.
So real quick, Rachel Rodgers, if you're not familiar, she is a lawyer, an entrepreneur, an author who teaches people how to build and grow their businesses. So some of the strategies that she uses to build wealth are, number one, invest in yourself.
Sounds counterintuitive.
Rachel suggests investing in your education, your skills, and your personal development. This can include attending conferences, hiring a coach or mentor, hiring a coach or mentor, or taking courses to improve your life skills. So Kim, how have you, I don't know if you picked up on anything there.
Yeah.
How have you personally invested in yourself to better your business?
Yeah. So he said that 3 times because I've hired a lot of coaches. I shouldn't say that. I've hired 2 coaches. I've hired 2 coaches in my time frame, but I've hired them several times. Why? Because when you have someone that's next to you, that's running the race, that is, 10 steps ahead of you in terms of this is where I would like to be. This is where I desire to be. I like the way you're running your business. Can I be your apprentice? Can I just learn under you? Can I ask you questions? And I thrive in my learning. That's my learning style. I thrive in having someone who's able to give me really good wisdom. And it's not that books are bad. Books are great, but they are not catered to me. They don't know me. I don't know that. You know what I mean? I don't know the art. I don't know the author. So when I'm able to work with a coach, they're able to sit with me and they're able to understand everything that's going on in my mind. And they become a very good guiding post for me. And so, yeah. So I've invested, I think what year are we in? 2022 to 2023, I invested almost 30 grand in my own learning. And before that, I invested roughly about 10 grand into another coach as well. And it was 110 million% worth it because I would not have made the shifts that I made in my business without their guidance because I had no clue how to start a business.
Not even close. Right. You first started a business in I'll never forget the numbers and what your offers were. And you were so excited that if you had, you had it written out on your mirror
Always
or your
have a plan.
whiteboard, always have a plan. Like, I just need this many clientele at this dollars, and then this will be my income. And it was a really cute number.
It was a cute
if you wanted to
number.
know.
Yeah.
And then you worked with your first coach, and your pricing, I mean, it really reflected your value for the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
But I think at first you had a hard time accepting that number because you're like, wow, is this my value? You kind of had like a conflict with yourself, but yes, it is your value. And here we are, 3 years later, and I feel like you've really come into that value. You know what you offer. You've seen the results. You've seen the lives you've touched and changed. And people are like, they still walk away and they say, man, like, I can't believe I only paid this amount. And you did all of this for me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, because what we're teaching in my programs is not just, it's just basic. Like, when they understand how to manage and organize their finances in their business and in their home, and they're able to connect with their spouse and actually talk and have conversations and pay off debt and save, these are things that they can be rinsed and repeated over and over and over and over again. And they can invest, and they're less likely to reach into their investments because they have all the resources. They know how to manage their money beforehand. So like, it changes their trajectory of their life. And I used to be like, oh no, it's not really that. But when I actually saw the impact, it's changing people's lives. So yes, the value is like there. But it took me some time, which is why, again, a coach was so important to me, because they were drawing that out of me this whole time.
Right.
And my husband.
Of course, always. So, and for someone who has a ceiling on their income like myself, right, something that I could do to improve my income and improve my prowess was to get my master's degree. And we both did that together through McDaniel University, and we got our master's
McDaniel College.
Well, McDaniel College.
We wanted it to be a university. I know.
Yeah, it sounded better when I said university.
It did. But people would go online and be like, where the heck is McDaniel University?
It's in Maryland. But it's in outer space. We got our master's in curriculum and education instruction.
Yep.
Whatever. We got a master's. With a focus in leadership. Kim actually pursued that leadership. I did not. Yeah. That's a different story. But doing that helped me raise my income on something that had a ceiling. So now it's a little bit higher. Yeah. So it's important to invest in yourself, whether you have a ceiling on your income or if you don't.
Right.
It's important.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So I also love, just a little, tie into the last episode if you didn't listen in. This is literally what we talked about at the end of episode 1. We talked about what your greatest asset is to building wealth. And if you didn't listen in, it's your mind. Your greatest asset is your mind. It's also your greatest detriment, because if you're not building your mind, then you are crippling yourself.
Correct.
In your ability to build generational wealth. Because, I mean, think about if you never invested in a coach. You would still be at those same offers that you were 3-4 years ago. And I don't know. I know where you would be, and it would not be the person, the businesswoman that you are now.
No.
Right?
No.
You have to invest in yourself.
You have to.
It's non-negotiable.
Yes.
There are a few things I'd like to consider us a very conversational podcast, and there's a few things that are, not up for debate, like Cinderella. This is not up for debate. You have to invest in yourself.
Agreed. And not just invest, like, I think the thing that was really important, like you just mentioned, is your mind. Your mind can play some serious tricks on you. And that was my issue. My issue was self-doubt. My issue was I don't know my own value. And it didn't matter. This is the thing that I also often see, is that my spouse, like my husband, saw the value, right? He saw the value in me and said it over and over again. Kim, you're going to be so successful.
Wow. I saw the value, girl. That was my value.
That was
sound.
the value sound?
Yes.
Okay, got it. He saw the value. He knew that I had the ability to be successful. I didn't see it. And no matter what he told me, I'd be like, you have to say that. You're my husband, right? But when you're paying someone and they are telling you, like, Kim, get out of your own head. Like, why are you paying me, multiple figures? I'm telling you that this is what you need to do, and you need to see it. I'm going to push you past your limit, and that's what I needed.
Yes, and they helped you shatter that imposter syndrome.
Correct, yeah.
That doesn't plague you anywhere near what it used to. Okay, so her first advice is to invest in your business or invest in yourself. The second thing that she recommends for building wealth is starting a business.
Yes.
Rachel believes that starting a business is one of the best ways to build wealth. By creating a product or service that solves a problem, you can create a sustainable income stream. Do you agree with that?
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And I think Rachel really pushes this because, like I said, I have a ceiling on my income. I can only earn so much.
Right.
But if you really want to build wealth, creating your own business is the way to go because you have no ceiling.
Yeah. Can I interject something that's really important?
Can I open this can of seltzer? Because I am
This is
parched.
something that he does all the time. So just get used to this.
I love seltzer water.
He loves seltzer waters. And he also loves the way that they sound when they open up. So when
There's
he's
just something about it.
like,
can I
yes.
Can I crack this open?
Go ahead.
And if we have to edit it, we have to edit it.
Yeah.
Affluence. Did you hear that? Wow, that was refreshing. I can't wait to take a sip of this.
Was it really good?
Wow.
Did it taste wealthy?
I tasted wealth.
You
I
tasted
felt like
wealth.
I'm building wealth right now.
Right now. Yeah. I mean, Aldi might sponsor us. Just because of that.
Maybe.
And that literally builds wealth.
Wow.
So I have an interjection about this, like building a stream of income. Okay. So there's lots of statistics that say how many streams of income you should have in order to build to like that multi-million-dollar status or whatever it is, right? A millionaire has, I don't know, it's like 6 streams of income or something like that. The one thing that is overlooked by that little quip is that they are sustainable, okay? Meaning that there is routine, there is understanding of how they work. We're not just throwing random streams out there and hoping that they all work. So if you start with your actual income, you start with what you actually are bringing in. So if you're working that 9 to 5 and you're hearing this and you're going, oh, I need to start a business, stop. Before you do that, understand how to manage your 9 to 5 income. Understand how to like really stretch that as much as you possibly can. Get that under control first. And then when you start these other streams of income, starting a business, or if you decide to get an extra job or whatever, then you're more likely to manage that so much better, effectively, and stretch that dollar even more, and thus actually being able to invest more, as the statistic would state. And so when you're building or starting a business, it's not just like, oh, I'm starting a little like side gig and I'll do it whenever I want to do it. Like you got to treat it like a business. You have to show up. You have to have hours. And there's a lot of front hours that go out. Like there's nothing that is a passive income that's just passive. There's always an activity part to it, an active part to it before it becomes passive. So that's my like PSA to everybody.
No, I love that.
Okay.
I love that. No, because it's a beautiful thing when your money starts to work for you. Because when money works for you, right, you can only work so many hours a day. But when your money's working for you, it is working 24/7.
Correct.
Money doesn't get a lunch break.
Nope.
Money doesn't get sick days. It doesn't
care.
get any time off. Money works. And I love that.
Yeah. But if you don't let your money know what to do, then it will find a way to leave. It will sayonara.
Right.
Goodbye. So I always say, like, manage your money. Don't let it manage you. So you have to manage what you currently have before you start building all these additional streams. Be ready to work.
Absolutely. So I'm going to piggyback off what you said about keeping your main job, right? You need to work your 9 to 5. If anything, I'm about to be an example of this. I'm still working my main job. I have not quit. I am still an educator. I am still teaching, but I'm trying to start this as a business.
I love that you say that so often. You know why?
Why?
Because there's someone out there that's going to be watching or listening, and they're watching your origin
And they're going to
story.
want out of education.
No, but they're watching your origin story. And that you said it from the very beginning.
This is my dream.
This is my dream. I am going to be out of the classroom, right? Like that is, I feel like that's really inspiring for someone to see that from the beginning go to
I agree.
where
No.
it
So
ends,
here's where I'm going with this. I'm going to kind of break down what you need to do to start your own little side hustle.
Okay.
Here's things to consider. Number one, you need to understand what your flex is. What are your advantages? What are you good at? What are you passionate about? Right? don't do something that you're not passionate about.
No.
Right?
You'll burn out.
So what I want you to do is make a list of your skills, make a list of your passions. If I were to make a list of my skills, my passions, things that I'm good at, for me, I'm pretty good at speaking. I'm pretty good at talking, right? I did theater in high school. I did theater in college, public speaking. These are things that I do well, right? This is not time. When you make this list, this is not time to be humble. This is your
bragging moment.
This is your building wealth brand.
Yeah.
Right? This is your moment to brag. So you need to promote yourself. This is what I do well. So on my list, I do speaking well. I do talking well. I do money well. And I know my wife does too. So on my list, that's something that I'm good at, right? And speaking also goes with education, right? I've literally been a leader in my classroom for 15 years. So I know how to lead. So these are things that I'm passionate about, things that I'm good at. There's other things, but this is just what I wanted to focus on for my list.
And it's your passion. There's so many other things within what you just said, like especially if you're a teacher or educator, that other people will say, well, you're a teacher, so that means you love blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean you love all the things that teaching comes with or that your profession comes with, but there are certain parts that you absolutely adore, could do without anyone, like you could just do it. Like you're just like, yes, I love doing this, right? That's what you focus on.
And I think for like our parents' generation, they're all about staying in a job for your whole life. And I was passionate about education 15 years ago, but since the pandemic hit, something has shifted for me. Right. So it's not my passion anymore. And I think I know this is my passion. So that's what I'm pursuing. So make that list. Next, you need to research income generating jobs in that field, right? If you're passionate about writing and you're doing your research, maybe you're going to see that you could be a content creator or you could be anything that has to do with writing. You can be an editor, right? So there's things that you can do digitally. There's things you can do in a brick and mortar. There's things you can do with writing, with singing, with digital design, right?
Yeah.
Where someone can hire you to create something for their podcast or for whatever they're doing. So you need to do some research. Find out who needs me for this flex that I have. Something else to consider if you're trying to build wealth and income in a job. Actually, this is for something else. This is talking about something else, so I'm going to skip that.
Okay.
All right. So I want you to do those two things, okay? Focus on making a list and then thinking about jobs in that field and then just going after it and promoting yourself.
For sure.
Right? Don't be humble.
And that concludes our first part of this episode. I know it was so good. You never wanted it to end, right? I know. But we have to move on to a part 2. So make sure you go to the next episode so you can hear even more amazing tips about building wealth so you can learn how to live in love and walk in wealth. This is Kimberly Graham, your co-host of the Affluent Marriage Podcast. Can't wait to see you on the next one.